That is actually pretty sad. I just came from our place over there. It's not that far away. It's a kilometer. And out here, where the neighbor is running sheep, and where we have this crossing, and then there is the asphalt road. This is all dry. Soil is heavily compacted. Nothing is happening here. And the only thing that grows is this. In Spanish they call this junco. This apparently has very deep roots, and therefore it can reach the water level, some 2 meters down. The water reservoir is over there. So as the bird flies, it's maybe 500 meters. And there are 44 hectares of surface filled with water 20 meters deep. And you can see how this looks like. This is a desert in the making, and it makes me very sad. While over there, it is relatively moist because of all the trees and all the things that we have done so far. While out here, it is dying. And if you look at the date, we are in mid-April, and this looks already, because Spain is still in a heavy drought, like it were July. But then of course nothing can happen if every time that there is something green, the sheep are put out. Because the idea is to feed them on the grass in order to save money on commercial feed. But then someone is taking out a loan that will never be paid back. At least not by the very same person. So there is a lot of debt in software development. We talk about technical debt. And that refers to all the cutting corners and the things that are never done, and they accumulate, and over time you basically have to declare bankruptcy because you cannot fix it anymore. That is when you write it again. And that is usually high risk and very costly, and there are a lot of failures where even large companies suddenly disappeared. And that's pretty much the same thing. So all this is dying, and people are complaining and expect the government to do something. And now you may laugh. Actually, I have been asked a few times by people from around here, and even the guy who delivers the straw to us showed me that they believe in conspiracy theories. So one goes like this. There is this program in Alaska with some antennas to investigate something in the ionosphere, and there is a conspiracy theory that this was designed to be a weapon and all this in order to manipulate the weather. And now people here talk about this and believe that this is causing the lack of rain. It's not agricultural practices, it's because someone in Alaska is manipulating the climate. And another thing that makes the round is that people believe that someone is stealing the rain. So there was an article in a newspaper. I hope to find this and link to these things so that you can have a look yourself. So there was an article in a newspaper that talks about injecting, I think that was based on aluminum or something like that, into the clouds to make them rain. This is also done to prevent hailstorms and stuff like that. So this technique exists, and when there is a cloud, you can actually make it rain. So now people believe that here in Andalusia we don't have rain because somebody is doing that so that it rains elsewhere. And again, someone else thinks the government should do this so that it rains in Andalusia. But look at the sky. There is no visible moisture. And if there is no visible moisture, then there is nothing you can do to make it rain, because there is no water up there. So if the humidity is very low, which is the case right now, then you can do whatever you want up there and it will not rain. But the people here in the villages, they actually believe this, and adult humans talk about this and believe that this is how things are, that this is all a manipulation, and it makes me furious. So much stupidity. when I have a chance, I try to explain, and hopefully in a case of Mr. Straw Delivery this worked, because he has asked. Apparently he thought that I might know. Well, I tried my very best to show him the sources of the truth, so that he does not believe in that stuff. But others, they don't ask, and that is what they then talk about, and suddenly other thoughts are forming. But let's not go there. So you see, this is the current situation. It is mid-April, and it looks already like it were July. But in our case, we are doing something to not suffer from the same fate. But then, of course, 45 hectares is a very small area. If we had 500 or even more, then this would have a lot more impact. And as our land is also a tiny strip, so it is very narrow instead of being a chunk, there is not so much that we can do, but we try. And maybe I can convince the neighbor to the east with those 130 hectares, the ones where they had the problem with the tenant, to convince them to do also some restoration work. I'm trying to get them in the mind of this by showing them example of other Spaniards who have done things like that, and also to get them in the idea into the idea of planting trees. There's a program from the European Union to plant trees, and we will participate in that, and maybe they would like to do this also. So as I was talking about the dryness down there, now I am here at our place. This is our driveway, and this is the little strip between our driveway and the neighbor. And here is our paddock A5, and up there we have A4. And as you can see here, this looks like it's supposed to look at this time of year. It is not extremely humid and moist, but it definitely is green. While in other places things change. This is not as bad as where I was just was, but it is definitely not the same as we have it here on our side. So controlling the grazing is definitely something that is helpful. And as you can see, I'm walking around, so this is not an image that is improved. This is as it is. And this area here is a little bit drier because it lacks the biomass. But here the horses have manured quite a bit, and that seems to give it the upper hand. While here on that side it wasn't so good to start with, and we only had the bovines in here. And our vetiver that is still there in this area, this definitely now needs some water. So we need to sprinkle a little bit there, because this will not take off and might then actually die. So here we have everybody in there for the afternoon and tomorrow morning, and then the other places are going to be open as well. And when these three paddocks, which is 18, 15 and 16, are done, then we only have a few leftovers, and then it means straw and alfalfa pellets. Good morning. It is a chilly but dry morning, and today is the day where we say goodbye to these 14 boys here. We have sold them, and now the area over there is now pigless, and we hope that the seed that we distributed there will germinate, and in about 3 weeks we should know more Of course we need to maintain this moist somehow, that is why we have the sprinklers. Supposedly this Saturday there will be a little bit of rain, but it's something that we will talk about after, because this drought seems to be very pronounced and prolonged, and things are not looking very good. A lot of people are very desperate, and in the nearby village the people have been receiving water from a truck because they declared the water from the tap as being unhealthy. It's because the water reservoirs are so low that they don't want people to drink it. So this is pretty serious now. I have a lot of doubts about the irrigation. We can use 4 sprinklers at most with the water pressure that the pump gives us, and they cover certain areas, but of course this is not to really wet the whole field. My hope is that we manage to do this in some strips, but still this place is tiny in comparison, so this is a major challenge. Other people use pivots or cannons, and all this requires a lot of water and a lot of pressure, and that's something that does not work here in this forest. So somehow we need to get through that and then plant a lot of trees for a lot of shade and a lot of water retention by improving the soil further, and then maybe we can get out of this.
Perché da un dritta poi che già li loro capito.